Hey folks, just wanted to throw in a little post-production warning. While this video isn't sexually explicit or graphic, it is sexually suggestive. So for anybody who is not able to go to PG-13 movies, I wouldn't recommend this. Parents, you know, unless you want some awkward questions of what does that mean from your kiddies, I suggest not letting them watch with you. But we still try and keep it relatively clean, but again, it's suggestive. And for those of you who have heard this story several times before, we apologize, but at least it's not the spotted snakes. If you want to hear the story about the spotted snakes, leave a comment and give us a like. Enjoy.
And we're back.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to But Wait, There's More here at Silver Wolf Comics and Games. And last episode, we had some adventures in a cave system, and you got to get kind of a preview of the shenanigans that Jareth gets himself into.
Dear lad.
So, this is episode 3, and we're going to follow our adventurers to Baldur's Gate, and they're gonna head on to Waterdeep. So they leave Greenest, and they have to, yes, and they have to go to Elturel, a small town along the way where they meet. We have the sillies here tonight.
Yeah, sorry folks, it's gonna be one of those nights.
Where they meet Ontharr, Froom, and Leosin Erlanther. Very special names. One's with the Order of the Gauntlet, and the second one is with the Harpers, and they deliver the dragon eggs. And this little spot is pretty notable because this is where our party collectively was introduced to Feargus's backstory of specifically how he met his wife. So if you want to take it from there, Rick.
We could take it from there, I suppose. Everybody was kind of surprised. Everybody has characters that they run across, the characters they see other people play. There's always a tall story beyond it. Unfortunately, it seems like there's so many people, when they develop a character, the character is always a loner. It's the standard Conan the Barbarian, dismal, they wiped out my village, I'm the last one kind of thing. They do that all the time because it's easy. But when you actually look at creating a character, one of the things that they give you as an option, if you really want to, is you can have a contact with some semi-legal, semi-underground organization. Now, this isn't a character that you actually run. This is just a character that allows the game master to be able to bring you information within the framework of the world that you want to run around in.
And how that helps me out is, say I need to pass them information or get a story hook, an adventure hook, to the party. I want to send them someplace. How do I do it? Well, I have this contact this person and say, hey, I've got this problem, can you help me out with it? And off they go.
Could be some shady gnome named Ignatz, and he sneaks up to you next to the bar and whispers in one ear, and then this character can then divulge to everyone else, or you could get called by the captain of the guard, come here, I have to talk to you, etc. Well, what I was looking at is just having the singular character with no family or anything like that. It wasn't really that much fun. It's the same thing everybody does. It's this one guy, he's got no ties anywhere. So he can do whatever he wants. Okay, fine. But I thought I'd go a different route. Because I'm thinking, off the top, it's like my character has family, he has a clan, and so on. He has a home that he can always return to in Mithril Hall. But what my big thing was, thinking about how all of this is going to come together, is how does a person, okay, you have a contact. How did you meet this individual? Who was this person before you ran across them? Not everybody runs across the local neighborhood spy and has this wonderful to do, and then all of a sudden they start sharing information. There's got to be some way to explain it, and that is where the 21 comes in. Now, some people have heard the story. It's a very small listening audience, and now we're going to throw it out to the rest of the world. So bear with me and just kind of imagine the beard and the hat. I don't have the props. Now, one thing to keep in mind when looking at this realm is politics and things like that actually do happen. These nation states, they have communications, they have dealings with one another. It's more big picture stuff than you usually see in the adventuring world, but it helps if you can flavor that world with it a little bit so people get an idea that they're part of something larger. Now, my character, being a dwarf, of course, and has a tendency to sound just a little bit like he just got thrown out of Scotland, was a soldier for Mithril Hall for many a year. And with the way politics are, Waterdeep has a very large navy. And one of the things that they really do need with amazing regularity is telescopes and such. Now, everybody knows that dwarves do stonework, that they're gem cutters, they design things, they build things, they're engineers. But a great many people don't realize that dwarves are also excellent lens grinders. Now, somewhere in the back mists of time, somebody in Waterdeep said, hey, why don't we have some kind of a thing with Mithril Hall, and we can have them grind our lenses for us, build the telescopes, etc., and they'll be rugged for sure. You know, dwarves, everything that they build, you can beat someone daft to death with. It's a beautiful thing. So, when they finish an order of these telescopes, I mean, it's not a military secret, it's not any kind of strategic thing, but it's something you don't want some fool to just walk up and walk off with them. So whenever they're finished with a group of these things, they put them on a boat and they send a detachment of dwarves with this, and they sail down the river, and the river comes out right by Waterdeep where they deliver them. Now, most people don't really understand the thing with the life of a soldier, but being dwarves, and mostly it's the young lads who end up doing this, it's an opportunity for them to do some shopping around Waterdeep. The officers and whatnot, they get wined and dined up at the castle. But the rest of the troops, you know, the sergeant says, go, disappear, go away for a couple of days. And they do shopping. I mean, there's quite a lot of gem mining in Mithril Hall, so they do a lot of trading, etc., and so on. And if, you know, there's some of these soldiers are married. They come, they buy things for their wives, they buy things for their families, materials, what have you. Now, on the other hand, you've got the unwed soldiers, and I'm not going to tip too much of a wink to all of you that are out there. We all know the 50-mile rule. Now, a lot of these soldiers, what are they going to do? You're young, you've got a lot of money on you, and you're in the biggest town on the coast. Let's go have fun. So a lot of them drink, a lot of them go, they eat different things, they run around, they do a lot of things that maybe they shouldn't be doing, but they do it anyway. So that's where Feargus comes in. Now, Feargus, he's not much of a troublemaker. He's relatively young for a dwarf. He's right about the age where the parents stop hanging over your shoulder, you know, when you're about in your 50s. Well, he's trying to figure out what he's going to do now that he's down here in Waterdeep. And now some of the lads say, oh, Feargus, why don't you come with us? We're going to go down here to the Naughty District and see what we can find. Okay, fine. Well, why not? So he goes, and Waterdeep is a very large city. It's very well developed. I mean, thousands upon thousands of people. And, well, the Red Light District is a bit well developed. Now, they come to this one place, and they say, Feargus, you got to try this place. Now, you see, as I was thinking, I was a bit suspicious because they didn't come in with me. They made no step towards the door. So I got to thinking that what they did is they tried to get in this place and they got kicked out. So, you know, hey, I'm 3-4 meads in. Why not? Let's go and have a look. Well, you look at this place, and the place, it's Lady Pushett's Emporium of Exotica. Wonderful place, very fancy building. But it's kind of right on the edge of the rough section of town, which explains all the bouncers. Now, I go in the door, and I'm looking about the place, and it's like I'm 4'4", and I'm looking at these bloody bouncers inside the door. It's like, good Lord, where do they find you people? They're just enormous people. But this place is fantastic. Now, the locals, they have a bit of a sense of humor about the place. They don't call it Lady Push-Its, etc., and so on. They call it the Push-It Inn. Now, the thing is, most people don't understand that Lady Push-It has a cousin who married Lord Pullet, and she has a place down the road. Now, her outfit has a tendency to deal with, she leads to the ladies. So, her place they call the Pullet Outlet. I don't make these names up. Well, anyway, you go in the place, and now this place is very posh. It's very expensive, nice carpets. You go about, this place has the most fantastic food. Dishes from all over the world, wines, meads, liquors, anything you could think of, tobacco from all over. You never saw stuff like this. Now, granted, they got a floor show, and as I start looking around the place, people start to take notice of the one dwarf standing there in the middle of the room, because evidently this is a membership-only establishment. I didn't know. Who knew? Because all I know is when the bouncer walks up behind me and pretty much frog marches me to the woman in charge. Now there's Lady Push-It, there she is. She's a very attractive woman, probably in her 50s, I suppose, as I can judge from humans. I don't know, they age different. But her whole deal is, can I help you? And it's like, well, yes, I think I was just interested in your establishment. And it's like, well, I'm terribly sorry, sir, but this is a members-only establishment. It's like, oh, well, how do you become a member? And it went off into this long, drawn-out thing about bank accounts and having so much wealth. And I'm kind of looking around the room, and you can look through the beaded curtain, and you can see that there's quite a few very wealthy type people. There might be a nobleman and traders and whatnot, but then you look in the back and you can see that there's some shifty characters in here too, boat captains and whatnot, that are probably smugglers. They have a look. What can I say? But it's just like, oh well, it's like, I operate out of Mithril Hall. I don't have any accounts in the city. And she's just like, well, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Those are the rules. Well, one of the bouncers chimes in and said, well, there's always the 21. Now, okay, and it's just about that. When he said that, I'm looking at her. I happen to look over her shoulder, and there's a big brass plaque. It's about that big on the wall, and it just says 21. Great big numerals. And then it's got a name under it. Now, it was too small for me to really make out, but okay, it was somebody, got some sort of an award. Okay, fine. And it's like, well, okay, what's the deal with the 21? Well, now, before I go any further, it's one thing to understand. They have all manner of entertainments in the place. They've got floor shows. If you want to just drink or eat yourself silly, you can do that. But now, this place caters to the gentlemen. So there are women who work here for a fee. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, this place is by no definition of the word a whorehouse. Oh, no. This place, high dollar. The women that work in this place, courtesans. You add a zero, that's exactly how it works. Yes, of course. Now, of course, being this is the way they make their living, it's all about the client. Now, the client comes in, he pays his money, they take the young lady, they go somewhere, they go off to one of the rooms, do their business, whatever it may be, for however long, and then they finish up, and that's the end of it. But now, of course, this is, you get these noblemen and whatnot, and they're not necessarily known for taking care of business. They get theirs and they're happy. Well, the deal with the 21, now get this, I couldn't believe my ears when I heard this. Anyone who goes for the 21, what they have to do is, it is all about the girls. It's like now these girls work hard. This is, like I said, it's not a whorehouse. These women are educated. They have skills. Now, everything that goes on is going to be for the girls. The girls get theirs. It's not up to you. You're secondary. You're just there to do the business and make the girl happy. Of course, you would think now this has got to be real expensive because you've got there are 21 rooms and you've got to make your way through each one of the rooms. Now the thing is, you go into room 1 and you are going to do your level best to make the young lady happy. And then you come out of there and it's like, all right, so much for that. And the bouncers are going to knock on the door and they're going to ask her, did he do a good job? If she says yes, you go on to room 2, and etc. But if she says no, for whatever reason, not only are you going to pay whatever the fee is for that room, that woman in that room, you're probably going to lose all your money and probably get your ass kicked on top of that. And of course, this isn't just one fee, each room. So if you screw up around room 18, you better have a lot of cash on you or it's really going to be bad. So anyway, I'm just drunk enough. Why not? Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a go. And I just want to see, let's see who I'm working with first. So the lady's just looking at me like, oh, you poor damn fool. I was like, all right, fine, off we go. And I still got the 2 bouncers. I've got wingmen. Look at the size of them. The 2 walking eclipses with batons. No edge weapons inside the place. It screws up the tapestries. But we go in there. Now it's a viewing room where you get to meet these ladies. Now usually, they got the little silk cord. You pull the cord and a little bell rings, and whatever girls that are not currently busy will come out and you can pick and choose. Okay, fine. But then there's the great big red button next to it that's got 21 griddled into the front of it. And it's like, well, you hit that button and the big loud bell rings and that's wang, yeah, pretty much. And well, they all, I guess, maybe it's curiosity, but quite a few, these girls come out just to have a look at who the poor damn fool is that thinks he's going to do this all by himself. And these girls, you look at them, it's like every size, shape, and description. Human girls, dwarven girls, elven girls, beautiful, every last one of them, each in their own way. And they're looking at me, and I'm looking at them. Now, here I am. I don't dress fancy. I'm standing there, chainmail, hat, beard. Sorry, I'm a dwarf. What do you want from me? Yeah, and I got these 2 over here. Now, there's that elven girl, very, very delicate, very pretty elven girl. Well, she's whispering behind her hand to one of the dwarven girls, and she's back and forth. They're giggling at me. And it's like, oh, okay, fine, that's right. It's like, yeah, we're going to do this. So, all right, Lady Push-It, she just kind of, all right, girls, off we go. And so it begins. Now, the 2 bouncers are sitting at me like, you poor bugger. You know you're going to die in here, right? And it's like, yeah, we'll see. So, it begins. You go to room 1. Knock on the door. Girl says, come in. Go in there. Oh, what do you know? First one out of the stocks. It's the little elven girl. And now she's not smiling anymore. She looks a little nervous. It's like, darling, I'm not here to do anything wrong. It's like, this is supposed to be all about you, right? Right. Well, 20-something minutes later, and I come out of the room, and it's like, well, go ahead. You can ask her now. And the bouncer, knocks on the door, and he goes in there. Here's a girl, she's got hair everywhere. Her ears are on crooked, and he's like, did he do a good job? And she's like, oh, yes, he did a great job. Well, all right, off to room 2. So, and they frog march you the whole way. You got these 2 big goons all the way across. So, room 2, go in there. Ah, it's the dwarven girl, the smart one. They were sitting there making the other one laugh. Well, she's standing there, hands on her hips in the middle of the room, giving me the eye. And, okay, she kind of giving me the what do you think you're going to do here? And in not so many words, it's what she says, is that you think you're going to make it all the way to 21. And then I'm not sure. I know I'm going to make it to room 3. And she kind of smiled at me and she said, turn around, you can close the door. That was my first mistake. I took my eyes off her. I turned around, I locked the door, I turned back, and she punched me right between the eyes. And all I could think was, here's a woman that knows about foreplay. Give her one! And it's, well, needless to say, after a bit, I don't know, I kind of lost track of time there. But I come out of there, and it's like, well, go ahead, ask. And they kind of, because they could hear all manner of hell breaking loose on the inside. They open the door. The whole room's a wreck. And she's lying there in what's left of the bed, wrapped the bed sheet. And it's just like, did he do a good job? And he's like, yes, he did a good job. You're going to will that to me. Bronze it. So what can I say? It was fun. And so it went. Room 7 you got to watch out for. Now, not too many people really pay much attention to halflings. Halfling girls are very saucy little people. They're very naughty. The thing is it's the furry feet. Yeah, the furry feet, they tickle. It screws with your concentration to no end. But as we move on, it was very enjoyable. Now, anybody could say, for one reason or another, there is no possible way that any male could do this. Now, you see, the thing to understand is dwarven physiology. Now, yes, that's a big word from a dwarf, I know, but this is very important. See, from a young age, a great many of us work in the mines. Now, in the mines, there are times where it gets very dusty, very dank, you cave-ins, dirt, crap everywhere. And what you have to do is you have to be very aware of the amount of air that you're getting. So from a very early age, a great many dwarves learn to breathe through their ears as a supplement to their oxygen. Now, when you're sitting there wondering how much pipe is this sucker laying, well, what you do is you alternate. Because it's all about keeping the girl happy. And, as like Kinnison said, A, B, C, D, E, it just go that way. And it does work. Magical. So, this goes on. And then we finally get to room 14. Now, I had heard the guards muttering about room 14. Now, I had actually laid eyes on this girl before. From what I understand, from my own personal observation, I think she was probably a tad orcish on her mother's side. She's a very tall woman, and with a very, very pale hint of green, like just a tint to her skin. But I happened to see her in passing. She's sitting there in a silk robe, and it's just, thinking back on it, she had a great set of shoulders on her. Okay, fine. Well, go knock on the door, go in there, and there she is, but she's not wearing the little silk get-up. No. Her whole room is set up like the inside of a tent. It's all pillows and hides and whatnot. And there she is, in true orc ensemble, I guess is the word you'd say. She's wearing hides. Now, they're very abbreviated, and to see the muscles on this woman. It's just, oh, goodness me. The long black hair pulled back, she's very serious. Not an unattractive woman, don't get me wrong. But I didn't even get a chance to turn around and close the door. She reached over and pushed the door shut from over me. And this, you see, this was the part where it always sticks in my mind, because this is the room where I strained my back. Because all she did, she turned, the lock is very high off the floor, too. She pushed the door shut, locked it, and then picked me up by the front of the tunic and threw me across the room onto the bed. Now, let's just say that there is something about a fierce woman. It's just an amazing thing. It's kind of like fooling around with a hurricane until you throw your back out. Then you're really getting your ass kicked by a hurricane. But it all, oddly enough, it turned out okay, because you realize that, something's wrong with the dwarf. I think I've broken. But oddly, big stern woman like that, she was the only one out of the bunch that wanted to cuddle. Who knew? So anyway, I come out of there walking quite a bit slower than I did when I walked in. And the guards are looking at me like, boy, he's not dead yet. And so it went. Now, outside of room 18, I had enough. It's like, it wasn't that I was going to give up. It's like, lads, could you find me a sandwich? A glass of water, please. There's only so much water in the well. So, and the funny part was, they jumped right to us. Oh, yes, sir, we'll be right back. And one stayed with me, the other one went and got it. When I come out of that room, human girl, long legs. Leverage is a very important thing. But they had everything. I mean, the little table, got the sandwich with the little dome over it. It was great. So, carry on. Now, getting out of room 20, I'm not even a dwarf anymore. I'm beyond myself. I'm just mentally beyond myself. I have risen above Feargus. I am on some plane somewhere trying to get to 21. That's all I can picture is this one number. It's like I'm barely speaking anymore. Now, The thing that I should have known was something odd. Now, each floor has its own set of guards. It's usually one guy at each end of each level, because the last thing they want is for someone to come in there and be rough with the girls, or try and run out on paying. And the place is a fortress on top of that. But then they get me up to the 6th floor. Now, the 6th floor, there's only one room on the whole floor. There's one long hallway with one door, which struck me odd, but hey, it's their floor plan. What the hell? Now, the thing is these guards are not on opposite ends of the floor. These guards are right outside the door. Strange, fine, but I'm beyond myself. I'm not even thinking anymore. So I just stride right up to the door. Now, at this point, it's like I've got lipstick and scratches, and it's like I'm a mess. But I don't care. I can't feel it anymore. So it's like I don't even knock on the door. I just boot the door in, and I'm standing there in the doorway with my helmet and one sock on, about 3/4 mast. And I'm saying, so what happens in here? Now, this is where it gives me pause, because this room is far larger than the rooms that all the other girls work out of. This should have told me, maybe you should back up and regroup. But no, I'm going to go in there. Now, the whole room is laid out in white. White rugs, white walls, white ceiling, all the bed and everything were white. But it's a very nice 4-poster bed over here with all the awnings and all that crap, and the settee and the desk and so on. But it's the other half of the room that alarmed me just a little bit. Because once you start looking across the room, you start seeing racks and things with spikes and chains. And as you get all the way over to this wall is nothing but handcuffs and manacles and chains and a whip collection. And at this point I'm thinking, oh crap, because all the way down in the corner is a great stone dildo about that bloody big, probably that big around. Seriously, who the devil uses something like that? But so I'm a little alarmed, but that's when she moved. I missed her. With everything else in the room, I missed her. And I'm standing there absolutely gobsmacked. I'm standing there with my mouth hanging open. Now, at this point, I realize I am standing there pretty much naked. And it's like, most times you don't really talk about your shortcomings. But there she was. And she come out from around the bed. Now, the poise on the woman, I mean, just very erect. It's just the way she moves, like a dancer. And she's wearing a long white gown. It's like lace. There's like layers of lace all the way to the floor. And the lace sleeves that come down cover the backs of the hands and all. And it's again in white. But the most striking thing was the contrast, because the thing was she was a drow. Now, for the uninitiated, a drow is a dark elf. The easiest way to draw the picture of a dark elf is if a drow stands absolutely still. It's like looking at a statue made out of obsidian. I mean, the skin is jet and sharp-featured. They follow the elvish norm, but they're far more striking. Now, in her case,
to include the white hair.
Yes, it's especially that, because that was one of the most notable features that I thought. Now, she's got this glorious head of hair. It's like moonlight. There's one long braid that runs down her back, almost to the backs of her knees. Actually, it's very long, and she's standing there, very proud, very upright, giving me the haughty eye. And the thing is I mean, in the halls in Mithril Hall, we fought drow. Fought more than one. And it's like usually, they carry on. Oh, the door. The drow. Their eyes are always red. Well, this one, her eyes were blue, the most absolute brilliant blue you ever did see. And sharp-featured, very attractive. I mean, the woman was beautiful. Now, at the same time, I'm sitting there thinking, where in the room is she got the 4-pound spider? Because I'm sure she has one somewhere around here. Now, that's when she spoke. And she had a low, smoky voice. You wanted to hear her talk more. And she said, and she spoke in Dwarven, which blew my mind. Because she said, I guess it's true what they say about dwarves. Now, I'm waiting for some kind of snide remark or something to that effect, but no. It kind of slapped me in the head. I was just like, oh, and what do they say about dwarves? And it's like, well, that you're impossible to knock down because you're all built like tripods. And I was like, oh well, thank you very much. And she kind of, just a hint of a smile, and she said, come in here and close the door. Okay, now you think I would have learned from room 2. So I turn around and I close the door, and the 2 bouncers are looking at me like, we're never going to see him again. And I close the door and I turn the latch, and crack! She snapped me in the butt with a whip. She had the damn thing hidden in the folds of her gown. Now I turn around, naturally, I turn around and say, ow! And there she is. She's reeling the whip in to have another go at me. So naturally, I do what anyone would do in this position. I took off running. But there's the thing, now she's quick on her feet. Even with the long gown, she's off after me. She chases me 2 laps around the bloody room with the bloody whip. Now, it's like, I already got, it's bad enough to be born with a crack in your butt, but to be given an extra one. Because it stung. I was like, oi, hi, and off I go. Well, I figured, well, we got to stop this before she grabs something bigger. So I took off running like I was planning. You fake left around the rack and right around the whatever that bloody thing is. And then I swung back by the bed. Now, I go around the bed, and with the awning and whatnot on the bed, I'm a bit obscured. So when she came around the bed, I managed to ambush her right there at the corner. Now, I got one arm around her waist. And then, okay, here comes the whip, and I managed to get a hold of the end of it and get the bloody thing away from her. And, just put that over there. Now, she's struggling. Now, I was like, this is supposed to be a fun time here. I'm not here to hurt you. And, well, she's energetic. Let's put it that way. It's all elbows and knees. She knows how to fight. Now, I'm trying to get, I finally managed to get her turned around because she's beating the crap out of me. And it's like, look, I can finally get her up off the floor. And it's like, darling, I'm not here to hurt you, for God's sake. And she looks back, and she throws an elbow. And she cracks me right in the temple, throwing the helmet off. And I'm sitting there, rang my bell. And I'm sitting there, oh, that hurt. All right, okay. And I'm sitting there trying to, look, if she gets loose, she's going to find something sharp in here, I'm sure. So all I can do is, I'm too bloody short to sit on the bed. But there's a settee over here by the window. So I kind of pick her up and carry her over there, and I sit there. The only thing I can do, because I'm trying to not let her get nails near my eyes or anything, all I can do is sit on the settee, and I end up pinning her across my lap. Now, at this point, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, now what do I do? Because evidently this is not going to be a fun time. And she's still struggling, and she's lining me up for that elbow again. I can see it. And I'm telling her, darling, if you don't stop this, say, help me, I'm going to paddle your backside. Well, them big blue eyes, she looks back over her shoulder at me, and she says, you wouldn't dare. And I said, oh, says you. Oh, says I. Well, yeah, I might just have to. Well, like a dummy, I'm sitting there looking at her, and, well, she was aiming at lining up that elbow the whole time, and she threw that elbow again. And she got me right in the eye. And it was, that's ow. And I said, all right, now you brought it down upon yourself. Now, without bragging too much, I can bend a horseshoe straight with my bare hands. I've been handling rocks since I was about that big. So, she's going to get it. I don't want to hurt the woman, but it's like, I told you, I warned you, you just calm down or I was going to tan your backside. Well, that's what you're going to get. Well, she's trying to get loose, of course. I line up and I say, here's one for you. Boom. It's a great big lace dress. It's probably that thick. She didn't feel a bloody thing. So, all right, fine. So we start digging. Because, man, I'm getting my ass kicked here, and I'm on 20. This one's 21. Anyway, so I start digging. And finally, I get far enough down through all the skirts and petticoats and all this other bloody lace. And then I had to stop. Folks, there was the nicest set of legs you ever did see. Had to be a dancer. Excellent muscle definition. But, pardon the pun, the thing was is they were attached to the roundest, firmest, most shapely bottom you ever did see, with the little white lace slingshot and everything. As I felt like a pervert, I did, because I couldn't help myself. I had to run my hand over it. So, boy, she about come unglued when I did that. But anyway, it's like, you've been asking for it, now you're going to get it. So, you see, you wet your fingers, it stings more. And I line up, crack! Well, she lets out a yipe. And now, again, as I'm trying to make a point, I'm not actually trying to hurt the girl. Now, this goes on, it's like you don't just, flail at it. You're not dealing with a 2-year-old that stole candy. You're dealing with an adult who needs a lesson taught. Because evidently, if she's got all the whips and knives and chains and everything, she's been doing all the whipping, kniving, and chaining, and she needs a lesson before she blacks my other eye. So, anyway, I give her another one. Now, the thing is after about the 6th one, she got very still. You see, you got to alternate one cheek to the other. But that's neither here nor there. Although it would be here or there. You see, I digress. But anyway, after about the 6th one, she got very still. And I'm sitting there thinking, uh-oh, what's she going to do? As I'm waiting, is there a knife? Is there a large spider in the room she's going to whistle for? I don't know. Any number of things could go wrong at this point. And that's when she looks back over her shoulder at me again with those great big blue eyes. And she says, do it again. Do what? And she says, do it again. I say, okay, far be it from me to disappoint the lady. And so anyway, this goes on for a bit. And I'm not really much on understanding all the kinky-winky stuff. I really don't get it. But I understand now, in a more enlightened world, that certain people get their jollies in certain ways. Who knew? But anyway, somewhere in the midst of all of that, somebody got their jollies. So she kind of, and it's like, okay, she's stopped. She's not trying to kill me at this point. Okay, now what? What do I do? It's not that I don't know what I could be doing, but what do I do now? Because Lord knows there could be some serious violence any second now. Drow have a reputation of that sort of thing. Well, in the midst of all of this thinking, I lost my mind because I let go of her. And she got up. Now I'm sitting there thinking, oh crap, here comes the knife. But it didn't happen. She kind of rearranges herself, fixes her hair. And then here's the thing, is she sits down in my lap and puts her arms over my shoulders like this and gets down right in my face, nose to nose. And she's all breathy. And she says, that was fantastic. Now, I don't know if it was my expression, which needless to say was a bit surprised, or if it was what I said or how I said it. But all I could think to say was, glad you liked it. Well, she starts, I guess it was the expression, because she started laughing. And the thing is you expect someone who has a reputation as a race for being very fond of sharp objects to kind of either not laugh much or have an edge to their humor. But this woman had the prettiest laugh you ever did hear. And I couldn't help myself. I was like, because especially the thing was, is it never really occurred to me to ask her name. And I was like, what's your name? Well, she looks at me, and I said, oh, fond. You got this fond look on her face, which is a bit odd, considering the situation. And she said, well, just about everyone who comes into this room calls me mistress. And it's like, oh, says I. Well, but that's not your real name now, is it? Now, I guess it was my expression. It got her laughing again. And she said, no, my name is Lithien. And I was like, oh, that's pretty. I like that. And it was neither here nor there, but something that I said caught her attention because she looked at me. She looked at me strangely for a second. It's like she very like contemplative, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So anyway, there we are, and by this time I've lost the helmet, I've lost the sock, and well, here we are, and she's completely dressed. She's fine. Me, however, I'm starkers. There it is. There's nothing going on. Well, come a tap at the door. The door opens, and there's the bouncers, and they're looking, and of course the guy is like, well, excuse me, did he do a good job, or is he still doing it? Well, that gets her laughing again. And she's like, oh, yes, he did a fine job, thank you. And the other one's like, well, sir, I've got the rest of your clothes here. Evidently, they're scattered all about the building, and they kept everything in one pile for me.
Well, it's part of their job, for the 21, they got to keep you organized.
Keep track of your drawers, yeah, that's exactly it.
They don't want your stuff laying around after.
Well, yeah, that's like, it just, Lord knows what else he's got on him. But go through all of that. And I figure, well, now that my clothes are here, and now that I'm sitting here, I mean, I just couldn't get my head around it quite so much. Because here I am, a dwarf of Mithril Hall, sitting in the middle of Waterdeep with a lap full of laughing drow. Now, who could ever see something like that? I mean, seriously. It's just way out there. There's no way. It's like they write books about crap like this. It just doesn't happen in the real world. Anyway, while we're sitting there, and it's just, we're kind of having a moment, which is kind of interesting. But then, of course, I realize after all this time, I am sitting here with this young, very attractive woman sitting on my lap. And needless to say, there is becoming an elephant in the room that needs to be dealt with. And no, we are not trying to compare. Because, well, it's like, no male should ever mention his shortcomings, one way or the other. But I figured maybe I should get dressed. So anyway, she's like, maybe you should. Because she's giggling at her, because evidently somebody is poking her. And she's just like, stop that. Well, that's when it's like she's kind of looking at me strangely. I'm like, what is it? As she tells me she didn't realize that the 21 was going on. Now, I didn't know that they didn't come up and just blow the horn and tell everybody, but evidently the deal is she works evenings. She's not from the first shift. Well, no one told her, because she doesn't get involved in that sort of thing. She doesn't deal with the clients in that way. Her deal is discipline. They've got these expensive, high-dollar, high-born, highfalutin noblemen that make these incredible decisions on a day-to-day basis. And then they come in here and they pay this girl 800 gold to be sat in a corner and ignored. Or tell them that they're bad.
Punish me.
Punish me,
Punish
yes,
me.
punish me. I have been terrible.
Who's been a naughty boy?
Who's been a naughty boy? See, now I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere there's a great big bunch of cue cards. I've never heard her say anything like that. But it would be funny, because she's like, you don't want to know what goes on in there. She says it's client privilege. It's like a physician almost. It's client privilege. I can't discuss what goes on with everybody else. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, that's fine. Although I'm sure there must be some funny stories, and all she did was wink. Well, I'm getting aside from the point. But I start getting dressed, and now she's looking at it. She's sitting over there, and she's looking at me. She's watching me dress. And she's looking at the clothes that I've got, the tunic and so on. And she says, so you're a soldier? And I was like, well, yes. And it's like, from what I understand, what I'm seeing is like, you're from Mithril Hall. Aye, that's true. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, well read. And that's when she floored me, because, well, you must have come in with a detachment that arrived this morning at the docks. Now, this is not something that this building, you cannot see the docks from this building unless you're on the roof. So, I'm saying to myself, how does this girl know these things? I'm sitting there, honestly, well, you're very well informed. And she just kind of smiles and says, well, I'm paid to be. It's like, right. Okay, this could be a little suspicious. That's when you start watching where the closets are. You're waiting for the guy with a knife to come up behind you. But she just smiled. She goes like, relax. And she goes over there to the desk and she writes something, just very small, and rolls it up on a small piece of parchment and comes out with something on a chain out of this little box. Well, she rolls, and it turns out that this thing is a little brass whistle about that long. And she rolls up the paper and slides it in the end of it. Now she comes across the room, grabs my helmet, which is over there kind of under the bed, and the first thing she did is she come right up to me. And then she puts the chain over my head, and I'm sitting there looking at it. It's like, a whistle? Okay, fine. But then she put her hand over it. Now, after everything that's been going on, it seems such a personal thing, because she seemed so very earnest, so very intent. And she said, the next time you're in Waterdeep, go to this address, follow the instructions, and blow this whistle. Now, okay, fine. It seems a little odd, but she's earnest. There's no spiders. There's no assassins lurking in the corners. Okay, I will. I promised. And she gave me a very businesslike nod. And then she just put the helmet. She stuck my helmet on. And the thing that screwed me up was that she actually knew how dwarves put their helmets on. Because what you do is you put it 1/8 of a turn off. You put it on and you wrench it into place. That way it doesn't fly off. And I bid her a good day. It was like, because after all of this, I was like, well, thank you for a very interesting time. And I'm trying to figure out, what should I call her? Ma'am, whatnot. And it was just, all I could come up with was Lady Lithien. And she kind of chuckled at me. She's like, there's very few people in this city would call me a lady. And it just flew out of my face. That's all I could say was, well, damn them, I know a lady when I see one. I think I scored points on that one at the time. I did. And it's like, well, I bid her a good day. Now, I open the door, and the bouncers are amazed. They're thinking, hey, look, he's still alive. So they walk me all the way downstairs. Now, once I get to the main foyer, now there's Lady Pushit. She's sitting there looking amazed. And there's quite a few of these gentlemen that are running in and out of the place. And there's like this one booger over here looked like a pirate. I mean, they're all kind of giving me the old golf clap, And she just says, there's a few documents I need you to sign. Congratulations. And it's one thing that's very interesting. On the building, all the locks on the building are magical. Who knew? But there are no latches. There are no locks to pick. Every door is sealed. And the only way that you can get in or out of the place beyond the front door when the guards are there is every member is given a ring. Now what this ring does is you press the ring to the middle of the door and the door opens. Now I thought this was a pretty neat thing for me, because it doesn't do anything else, but hey, I got a magic ring. Who knew? Now, it's been a day, as I've been in here half the day, and something occurred to me as I was walking out the door, is the way the building is designed is all the girls' rooms are on the front side of the building. They're not scattered about. It didn't really occur to me beyond that point as to what was going on until I opened the front door. Now I opened the front door, and there's about two. Now the thing to keep in mind is there's a park across the street. Well, there's the lads. There's 7 of them. There's the lads and about 200 townfolk. I opened the door, and there he is, huzzah! And it's like, what the devil is this? Well, one of the other guys, he's, Feargus, you have no idea how much money that you made for us. And that's when I realized, that's when it all came together. Every time that I come from one room and go to the next one, these guys, the girl would throw open the window and tell them how I did. Now the lads, what they did, because you look, there they are in the middle of this park, and they've got shields hung in the trees with chalk marks on them. And it's like, you buggers, I've been in here working my bone to the fingers, and your lad's been out here making book on me. And he's like, yeah, but you have no idea how much money we made. And, but seriously, I said, well, we cut you in. He said, oh, well, what's my cut? I said, it's over there. He said, what, behind the footlocker? No, your cut is the footlocker. Now here's a box so long, so wide, so deep, and it's almost full. Now I'm sitting there thinking, well, what a great day in the morning. Now, just when I'm about to say the drinks are on me, which is always a danger with those buggers because wow, there's a lot of drinking involved. Dwarves, yeah. It's a sponge, and it's not just the beard. And that's when a bad thing happened. Because I'm looking at them, trying to plan what I'm going to say next, and all of a sudden, all I hear is Stonebreaker! Crap, it's the sergeant. Well, the sergeant, here he comes, and he's not happy. Because the thing is everybody down here, that's when I noticed that the city watch is here. They're watching the crowd. Now, what in the fullness of time he explained is that there came a report up at the castle to the officers, to the lieutenant, that said that there was a bunch of his dwarves down here fomenting a riot. Now, so naturally, they're not going to put their wine down and come down here. They send the sergeant. Naturally, the sergeant's cheesed. So anyway, Stonebreaker, what the devil are you doing down here? And I'm getting ready to, I'm trying to think, how the devil am I going to explain this? And then all of a sudden I hear this, I can't do that whistle, but one of those loud, piercing whistles. And we both turn around. Well, the balcony on the second floor. It's like all the girls, well, almost all the girls are out there. And most of them aren't wearing very bloody much, very revealing, if you know what I mean. And it's the dwarven girl. And she really knows how to pucker, because she got a whistle on her that could hear you for miles. But anyways, oi, you with a hat. And he's like, did you say his name is Stonebreaker? And he's like, yeah, that's right. Well, you ought to call him Stone Shaft. Well, needless to say, as soon as the lads heard that, they've been calling me that ever since. And without putting too fine a point on it, that is how I met my wife.
Yep, and you know, I don't really get tired of the story. I've heard this thing
let's just say that this has worn a rut with some people because they happen to be at the same place at the same time for more than one telling.
But I really enjoy the creativity of it. And
now, anybody out there, now you can see, okay, funny story that you can chuckle about at any time, but it's all color. The more people that know it, they are drawn into it, and when they see your character, there's somewhere in the back of their mind that color is there. As here we sit in game, the other players actually refer to Lithien as a real person. You know, it helps color in something beyond this amorphous spy who occasionally brings you info. I mean, it makes them a person. It makes them real.
Yeah, and me, I use this. I use Lithien as not just somebody who brings information, but later on they end up having to do a quest for her. You know, she needs a job done, and the group is actually just finishing that up in the current adventure that they're doing. And because of certain requests, the 21 and Lady Pushit's Emporium of Exotica make an appearance once the group gets to Waterdeep. You'll find out more about that later once we get there. But that's all the time we have for today. After the next episode we'll go on about their adventures getting to Waterdeep and some of the shenanigans that the group, and specifically Jareth, get up to. Well, Jareth and Caliban. So thanks for listening. If you'd like to find out more information about us, you can find us on Facebook. Search for Silver Wolf Comics and Games. And you can find us on Twitter also. Links to those things will be in the description below. And yeah, y'all have a good night and try playing D&D. It's a good time.
Helps broaden your horizons anyway, and you don't need plane tickets.
Good night.